Georgia at Tennessee. Georgia favored by 10, 3:30 Eastern, CBS. Y'all, I think this is the last time we're going to get both these teams in a 3:30 Eastern CBS kick. All right, so enjoy the jingle. Enjoy the broadcast itself, because this might be the last time. I think this is actually the last time we're going to get this kind of situation for both Georgia and Tennessee. But for Georgia, man, they are a machine. They're a machine. They continue to roll. They throttled Ole Miss, left no doubt. Remember the Titans style, run it up, leave no doubt. And there's a new wrinkle here for them in this game, because they've been impressive against Missouri, against Ole Miss, but now you got to take the show on the road. And Kirby Smart said this will be our toughest prep of the season. I don't think he's lying. That's the challenge now for Georgia. Can you go into an opposing territory and look the exact same as you did when you're at home? Because great teams now, they're the same whether you play in the parking lot or whether you play at their home stadium. They're actually going to a more difficult spot than the parking lot, which is, of course, Neyland Stadium, which is phenomenal. We were there for the South Carolina game. That place gets loud. How does Carson Beck respond? We'll see. For Tennessee, we talked about it at the opening of this live show. Hasn't been the perfect season. Hasn't been the follow-up to what you had hoped you would have based on the rocket fuel you got from the 2022 season. But with that being said, if you beat Georgia, that changes the entire optics of what Tennessee did in 2023. I think it also changes the way you feel about the rest of your season, going into winter conditioning, going into the bowl game, going into spring football. Like, turkey's going to taste better at Thanksgiving. The pillows you sleep on at night, they're more comfortable if you beat Georgia. The weather is probably a little bit better. Doesn't matter if it's 32 outside. It'll feel like 75 and sunny if you beat Georgia in Neyland this upcoming Saturday. Not to mention now, probably a nice little boost to recruiting. Package that up and say, hey, you want to come be a part of what we're building here at Tennessee? Just beat the back-to-back national champs. And oh, by the way, this thing's headed one direction. Come be a part of what we're doing here in Knoxville. I think you could say that. That would be huge if you beat Georgia. A very big if. Are they going to do it? Well, we'll predict it right now. The spread is 10. At last we checked, it was favoring Georgia minus 10. Whenever we have a double-digit spread like this, we give you what we call our non-negotiables. This has to happen for Tennessee to win this football game, to have a chance to win this football game, all right? For me, it's about starting fast. And that's simple to say, hey, you got to be able to score points and get up on Georgia and put pressure on them. That's all true. But the key thing within them starting fast, in my mind, that would happen is you get the crowd into it. Like, you want to take advantage of home field, start fast. Get a strip sack and be able to turn that into points and go up 7-0. Joe Milton hit a deep bomb to Squirrel White, go up 14-0. If they can get some mojo, if they can rattle Carson Beck, things get interesting, because that's the second part of this, and it probably goes hand in hand with being able to start fast. But you got to find some way, shape, or form to impact Carson Beck. Whether it's James Pierce coming off the edge, he's a freakish freshman. Keep an eye on him, big 27. We haven't seen Carson Beck be rattled just yet. Now, to be fair, we also haven't really seen him in a super difficult road environment outside of Auburn. How does he respond in a spot like this with all the pressure on him, with all the talk around the college football playoff and wherever Georgia's ranked tonight? Like, I think this is something to keep an eye on with this spot, but rattling Carson Beck has to happen. Has to happen if you're Tennessee. And again, goes hand in hand with starting fast and getting that crowd rolling. Something to watch for in this game now as well. Josh Heupel's offensive scheme, I mean, we know, but he's a wizard. Hogwarts grad with the way that he dials it up against some of the young guys that are playing for Georgia, especially in the second level of that defense at the linebacker group. C.J. Allen, freshman linebacker. Raylan Wilson, freshman linebacker. Both guys done a phenomenal job in some limited playing time with Jamon Dumas-Johnson out of the lineup. How do they look against this scheme, against Tennessee? Because what Tennessee does schematically, and you'll hear people talk about this a lot during the week, with the way that they spread you out, they force a lot of your defenders to spread out with them. So when you have defenders spread out with them, what does that mean? It means the guys there to stop the run, there's fewer of those. In football terminology, that's considered to be a lighter box, okay? You'll hear that a lot. Hey, Tennessee, they force a light box, this, that, the other. What does that mean? Essentially, you need your linebackers to step up in a big way. Smile Munden obviously has to do a phenomenal job doing that. The safety's got to do a great job doing that. These freshman linebackers, they will have to grow up quick, fast, and in a hurry in this spot. Because if Tennessee's able to get the run game going against that light box and take advantage of this youth, well, then they get the mojo. Then it goes back to what I said. The crowd gets into it. then they have a chance. They can sustain drives. They can keep Carson Beck off the field. You make Joe Milton's job easier. It's crucial for him to be dialed in this game. Like, that's the other part of this. You better be able to be very, very, error-free. I mean, it may take a perfect game from Joe Milton. And I'm not saying in the sense that he has to complete every single pass, but I do mean he has to be able to hit the shot when it's there. Whether it's the deep shot, whether it's the intermediate 10-yard out route or the dig route, whatever it ends up being, Joe Milton's got to be dialed in. Being able to run the football and kind of mess with those freshman linebackers, that could end up being kind of the path for him to have an easier passing lane. Because those freshman linebackers, I would have to imagine, they'll be looking to stick their nose in there in the run game. Did that a lot in high school. We're really good at doing it in high school. It's why they're at Georgia. But if you can take advantage of their potentially over-aggressive nature, more passing lanes behind them, good things are happening for Tennessee offensively, and then things get interesting. Now, if they can't do that, if these freshman linebackers are playing to the caliber and the standard that Georgia has created internally, well, then you force this Tennessee offense overall just to probably sputter a little bit. And the reality is you can't sputter against Georgia offensively. You just can't do it. You can't spot them a couple of possessions and say, you know what, that's fine, we'll catch up with them later. Not how it works. Georgia's playing too well. Carson Beck's playing too well for that to be an expectation for you. So very, very important that they take advantage of some of that youth on Georgia's defense. So here's my thing, man. Georgia, they're just so multiple. They're so multiple and they're so efficient on the offensive side of the ball to where Tennessee, I think you got to throw the kitchen sink at them at some point, maybe even early in this game. Like I said, try and shake Carson Beck's confidence. But whatever you try and take away if you're Tennessee, they have answers to. If you want to try and key on the run game, Brock Bowers is back in the lineup. Dominic Lovett is finding his stride. Ra Thomas is looking good. Like you go down. I think Ra Thomas got a little bit dinged up in their last game, but I think he should be okay, hopefully. Don't know the latest on that. Bottom line, they got weapons. Whoever it is on the field, whoever's healthy for them, whoever's not healthy for them, Georgia has guys that they feel really confident. If you try and give them a one-on-one matchup, they will take advantage of it. Now, if you try and key on the pass game, you got two backs now that are finding their rhythm. They ran for over 300 yards as a team against Ole Miss. I don't think you like the way that looks if you're Tennessee. So, at the end of the day, man, I think Georgia's just on a tear. I think there's a path here for Tennessee. I do think it takes a effort from them defensively we haven't seen to this point in terms of creating turnovers. And I think it would take a near flawless game from Joe Milton. It's possible. They're dangerous in this spot, obviously, coming off a little bit of a bounce back against Missouri. I think Georgia wins. I think Georgia covers. And I think for Georgia, this is another resume boost, depending on where Tennessee's ranked tonight. But if you're Tennessee, that's where I really want to focus. Because for Georgia, like, the main thing is the main thing. They're undefeated. They keep on rolling. They've already punched their ticket to Atlanta. It is what it is. For Tennessee, let's not panic. Let's not panic. Let's understand now that this year was probably going to be a letdown from last year based on not having Hendon Hooker in the lineup and not having Jalen Hyatt. It's okay. You don't doubt what Josh Heupel's done there. You don't doubt what he's got in place. It is what it is. You take your lumps, you move forward, play your bowl game, finish the year strong. Like, that's kind of the sentiment I want to make sure we clear up here. For Tennessee, just because you lose to Georgia, if you lose to Georgia, don't panic. Now, again, if you beat Georgia, we'll come in on Sunday and talk about it. But I want to make sure we get ahead of this and have that conversation. Nothing wrong with Josh Heupel. Nothing wrong with the way that he does things. Nothing wrong with the defense. Georgia's really freaking good. And I expect them to play like it this upcoming Saturday. We'll see what happens. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.